Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty!
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, members of the jury, members of the Roll the Tape film crew. We are live in living color with another episode of Roll the Tape podcast with Manager Marty. Come on in, have a seat. I miss y'all. You know I miss y'all. I've been on vacation for a few weeks. I'm back now. Let's talk some boxing. I'm back now. Let's talk some business of boxing. Come on and have a seat. Click the like button. Y'all know how we do. Y'all do not have to ring the doorbell, right? Door already unlocked for you. You don't have to wipe your feet off before you come in my house. Just come on in and have a seat. Come on in. I'm glad to see y'all. I miss you. I got people. Let me go to the comment section. Let's see what's on. What's it? The Keggy. What's going on, Keggy? Miss you, Keggy. I miss you. Salute, BBO Boxing, my guy. I see you in the chat. Welcome. Come on in. Miss you all. We got to do this right. We got to do our 10 watch check-in, but before we do that, I want to say thank you to each and every last one of you for being a part of the Roll the Tape film crew membership. I'm talking about the subscribers. Thank you all. To all of my returning viewers, thank you for your support. All of you that have made and are making and will make today a financial and monetary contribution to support the channel and to enhance the visual and the audio quality of the content. I want to give you a double salute and tell you thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And so we're going to have a great show today. Before I start with the Town Watch check-in, I do have to do something else. I have to do this every time because, as you can see, I have lighting now. I have a lava layer on me now. Got a little better camera. Got little enhancements. Performance enhancements. They say I'm doing undertones when I'm talking about performance enhancements. But hey, the channel is growing. The viewership is increasing what? Exponentially because of the performance enhancement of the quality. Okay? So I have to do an audio check. Can y'all hear me? Can I get an audio check? Mic check. I know when I be joking around with people, I be tapping the side of my shoulder like, can you hear me? 1, 2, 1, 2. You know how I be joking with people when I have them on the witness stand, but I really can't even do that no more because I really have a lot of liquor. Can you all hear me? Somebody in the chat, can somebody hear me? Can I get a yes, no? I need to adjust the mic. Matter of fact, let me check my settings and make sure that we are clear. I don't want nobody to miss nothing today. I'll make sure y'all can hear me loud and clear. Hold on. Make sure we good. Hold on for 1 second. Yeah. Oh, somebody's saying they hear the echo. I am in a really big room. This room that I'm in, I'm going to use this room, and I have been using this room lately to record my videos and do my lives. Sorry, y'all, the room is kind of big, but I'm in a small little space here. Somebody said the audio is fine. Lakia, salute to you, sweetheart. Thank you for your viewership. Appreciate it. Hold on, let me make sure the mic. I gotta make sure the mic is working, y'all. Hold on. Y'all know I'm not really an expert in none of this stuff. I'm just learning as I go. Hold on, let me make sure everything cool, man. Because you know I'm gonna drop that link. You know I'm gonna drop that link real soon. Let me see. See, that mic not even on. Hold on. Hold on. This ain't playing what we already. All right, can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? How's the audio sound now? I'll make sure this thing is right, y'all. Sometimes I can be a perfectionist, but I just want to make sure that all of you all are enjoying the performance and the quality of my content. Can you all hear me? On this mic, can y'all hear me? Mic is in there. Can y'all hear me? Can I get another mic check real quick? We got a show to produce today. Can I get one person to let me know if you can hear me or not, please? Real quick. Can I get somebody to tell me if you all can hear me? Mic check. Somebody? All right, the Kegi can hear me. What about the echoing? Can you hear me without the echo? I just want to make sure we clear, that's all. We about to do our town watch check-in as you see it on your screen. We're going to get right to it. We're not wasting no more time. I'll be going for a couple of weeks. I miss y'all. We're going right in. All right, look, we're just going to go right in. The mic is on. Everything looks clear on my end. We're going right in. Listen, if this is the first time that you are being a part of our live stream on our podcast, I'm saying our because I'm including the Roll to Take Film crew members. We do a town watch check-in when we're live, and I want to give you a brief synopsis on what our town watch check-in is and what it represents. So what a town watch check-in is, it's an opportunity for each and every last one of us that are watching and participating in the live chat to be able to insert where we are from, where we are located, either or, irregardless of your geographical location. It could be any city, any state, any country, and or any island, right? Now, the reason why we do town watch check-ins on this show is because we all come from different backgrounds, different walks of life, and also we have different perspectives and different opinions. But the great thing about it is that this is a form of acknowledging the fact that we all share one thing in common, and that is our love for the sport of boxing. So how it works is this. It's very simple. I'm going to start it off. I'll tell you all where I'm from if you don't know, and I'm going to tell you where I want to represent, right? And then everybody that's live right now, that's in the chat that want to participate, this is not mandatory, but it is helpful because I love engagement, right? I love participation. So in the chat, you can do the same thing. If you are a returning viewer or a Roll the Tape Film Crew member, please let's do this the right way so people can follow you all as you insert your geographical location, where you're from and or where you are located, okay? And then we're going to go right into what we want to talk about today, and that is Terence Crawford versus Jaron Ennis, that whole controversy. We're going to talk about Shakur Stevenson, his controversial comments that he's made about boxing media. We're going to talk about the fight between him and Edwin tomorrow night. We're going to talk about some boxing and some business today, all right? So I'm going to start it off. Y'all ready? Okay, here it is. We're going right in. Representing my hometown of the great city of Philadelphia. No, not the Philadelphia in the state of Mississippi. No, I'm talking about Philly. The city of Philadelphia by way of the state of Pennsylvania. And I represent a place where I used to reside. I still have property there too. But anyway, Arlington, Texas, the Mansfield section, Tarrant County, stand up. I represent the entire DFW area, including my hometown of Philadelphia. All right, so tell me where you are from, what city, state, island, and or country you want to acknowledge. You can do it in the chat right now, and I am going to publicly acknowledge it so that we can all be on the same page. All right? All right, I told y'all where I was from. Come on, y'all, let's check on in. Pittsburgh. Representing Pittsburgh. Kenny, where you from now? Well, you said you represent Pittsburgh, but where you at now, Kenny? I know, but the people don't know. Come on, y'all, let's check on in. We got to listen now. I want the viewership to increase, so we got to hurry up with our show. We got to hurry up. You know we competing with other content creators right now. You already know that. So we got to make sure our show is popping. Seagoville, Texas is in the building. I see you, Lakia. Come on, y'all, let's check on in. Hey, Lakia, real quick, how far is that from Dallas? I don't think I've ever heard of Seagoville. How far is that from downtown Dallas? How far is that? How many hours? That sound like it's hours away. How many hours away from Dallas and Seagoville? Oh, is Brooklyn in the house? Without a doubt, Brooklyn is in the building. I see you. Come on, y'all. Let's check on in. Let's check on in. I've been going for a couple weeks. I'm back now. We back to our regularly scheduled program, right? Come on, y'all. Let's check on in. We ain't gonna spend too much time on it. I see the viewership trying to increase a little bit. I see it. Hey, Lakia, how far is Seagoville from Dallas? If you can hear me. How far is that from Dallas, Texas? How many hours is that? That sounds like it's a couple hours. I never heard of Seagoville, but we're gonna represent it today. Anybody else want to check in? Because we're going right in. 25 minutes, that's it? Oh, wow. It sounded like it was a couple hours away. 25 minutes. All right, that's what's up. Yo, anybody else want to check in? I'm about to drop the link soon too, so because this is open panel today. Anybody can come up here. And we're going to talk boxing today. Anybody else want to check in before we move on? We about to turn this thing up, man. You already know how we do. That's it? We don't got another check-in? That's it? We good? We good? We straight? As we say in Philly, you good? We straight? Or as we say in Texas, already. You know they taught me that already. They told me that. They told me that when I was living in Texas. They told me already. And guess what I taught them? John. I told people in Texas how to use the word John. Because that's a Philly term. How to use it properly. It describes a person, place, or thing. The word John is actually a noun. You can actually reference any person, any place, or anything. And I actually inserted in a sentence so that they can understand and they liked it, they laughed. So I got some of my homies and my friends, my homegirls and everybody in Texas, they still be seeing John. Diana, a member of the channel. Salute, sweetheart. Pleasure to see you. I miss you, Diana. Always a pleasure to see you. And you know what? We got women in the chat, and we have women watching Live and Live in Color right now that is not in the chat. So I gotta take this off the screen because the ladies have to see my face because this is very genuine when I do this. Fellas, step to the side for a minute. Y'all already know I've been going for a minute, but y'all know I got to get back to what we do. Gotta get back to what we do. Hold on for a minute. Let me get this off the screen. Hold on. My mic was hey, Mr. Pratt. What's up, Mike? What's up, Mr. Pratt? My mic was muted. I gotta start that all over. It was so genuine. But see, when it's genuine, I can say it all over again. So, fellas, I gotta take the glasses off when I talk to the ladies. Fellas, step to the side for a second. This public service announcement is not for you. It is dedicated to all of the ladies, all of the women watching me live and living color, and the ones that are engaging in the chat, and the ones that are watching the replay of this live. Ladies, let me start by saying what I just said a few seconds ago. Let me give you a double salute. I want to say from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate the support that you all have been showing me from day one, even the new viewership of women today. Thank you for your contributions, the time that you invest in watching my content, even watching me live. I want to say thank you for the monetary contributions that you also make to enhance the visual and the audio performance and quality of the content. I want to tell you from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. Queen, I'm talking to you. Don't look around. Don't look around. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking to you. Thank you so much for all of this support. And that's from the bottom of my heart, from Manager Marty to you, sweetheart. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Now that I got my Johnny Gill voice out, fellas, come on back in the room and have a seat. Let's talk boxing. Now, oh, my guy is here. Man, I got my whole family in the chat right now. Salute to my guy, another member of the channel, Matthew Thomas, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. I see you, brother. Thank you. And another member of the channel, I mentioned his name a few seconds ago, but I have to give him the same love and support and shout out. And that's my guy representing Atlanta, Georgia. My main man, Pots and Pans. You already know his family already. Mr. Pragmatic, salute. Always a pleasure to see you all as the viewership is slowly increasing exponentially. All right, so let's talk about some boxing now. Before we even dive into the whole controversy between Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis, right? This is what I said when my mic was muted, so I'm repeating myself. We're going to talk about Shakur Stevenson, the comments that he made. I think the video was published sometime earlier today, where he was in an interview and he basically said that boxing media is a bunch of fake people, so to speak, right? I want to give my perspective on it, but I also want to hear your perspective, particularly in the chat. I am going to drop the link real soon because I want us to talk about that. But also, I don't want the boxing media comment that Shakur made to overshadow the fact that him and Edwin De Los Santos do have an actual fight tomorrow evening in Las Vegas. Okay, I don't want it to overshadow it, but I do want to talk about it, and I do want to give my perspective on it. Let me see if I can drop the link first, because this is open panel. Anybody can come on up here. Doesn't matter what your viewpoints are. We are open and we accept all viewers, all guests on this show. Doesn't matter if you agree with me or not. You are all welcome and invited to come on. I'm going to send a link out there. Then I have to pin it to the top. All right. So, but while I'm doing that though, I want to ask you all in the chat real quick. While I'm doing that, right? What is your perspective? I don't know. Did y'all even hear what Shakur said? Some of y'all might not even heard it. But what if you did hear it real quick? What is your perspective in the chat? And if you're watching the replay of this live, you can also participate by answering and responding to this question in the comments section below. Okay? What is your perspective of what Shakur Stevenson said regarding boxing media and basically a bunch of journalists, reporters, and even those of us who are on YouTube, because we know YouTube is the big house for the sport of boxing. He said that mostly boxing media is fake. People like really fake. What is your take on that? While I'm sending the kite out, I'm flying the kite out of the chat, as I always say. What's your take on it? Oh yeah, Diana, you just came in, so the room that I am, in. It does have an echo, and I apologize for that, but it's the size of this room. Now, I'm only using a very small portion of this room, obviously, for the lighting that I have here, the lavalier, the microphone, that's back there, that's from the camera, the actual 4K camera, and of course the backdrop. But this room is fairly, I guess, big. But I am projecting. Maybe I should bring my voice down. Naturally speaking, I do have a very, very loud voice. So maybe it's the fact that I'm talking a little bit too loud. But we're gonna keep playing with it because I gotta make my adjustments with this new microphone. I don't really need a microphone, but I do want to enhance the audio quality for all of you. All right. So moving right along, tell me, what do you all think? In the chat real quick, let's engage on this for a minute. About the comments that Shakur Stevenson made. If you've heard what Shakur Stevenson said, the interview dropped earlier today, and then I want to give my perspective before we move on. The link is in the chat. If anybody wants to come on to the panel, come on. Link is in the chat. I'm about to pin it to the top. But in the meantime, in between time, I do see somebody that did say something in the chat, and I would have to agree with some of the things that were said in the chat by Zach B. Interesting comment. Oh, Sanctioned Boss also commented as well. It's two perspectives that we have here. This is what I like. That's why we do our Town Watch check-in in the beginning, so we can set the foundation and tone that we all share, one thing in common, and that is our love for the sport of boxing. But at the same time, we do have different perspectives and opinions on different topics. All right. Anybody else in the chat? Let's engage. I see the viewership climbing. The viewership is climbing now. Okay. Y'all know YouTube been messing with my numbers lately, not to get off topic. YouTube messing with my numbers. Really, really have. They've been messing with the viewership. But they're not gonna stop us from putting that content out. You hear me? They're not gonna stop the viewership increasing exponentially. All right, so Mr. Pratt. I understand that perspective as well. Hold on, let's do something else too. Because man, I've already been going for a minute now. I've been going for a minute, but I've been reinvesting in the business. Thank you, Mr. Pratt, for that. I've been reinvesting in the business. So all of your support, whether it be through Cash App, whether it be through the Super Chat, whether it be through the Super Thanks, all of your support is necessary for me to continue to do what I do and do it more consistently. And I want to thank each and every last one of you in advance for you that are about to start contributing to the channel. I know it's coming soon if you haven't done it already. I know it because you know why? I have the Roll to Take film crew, and they back the play. They back my player. They help grow the channel. They support the channel. Even some of you returning viewers that didn't subscribe yet, you support the channel. So I want to thank all of you in advance for your contribution. So moving right along, I see there's 3 different perspectives that we have about the comments that Shakur Stevenson made regarding quote-unquote boxing media. All right. Thank you, Diana. Double salute to you for your contribution to the channel. Thank you so very much. And once again, I said this earlier, Diana, but I have to say it again publicly. I miss you. Good to see you as always. Peace and blessings to you, my sister. We have a lot of different perspectives in the chat right now. A lot of different perspectives on what Shakur Stevenson said about quote-unquote fake boxing media. Now, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing that I wanted to clarify. I don't know if Shakur Stevenson was just talking about boxing media as a whole, meaning reporters and journalists from networks such as ESPN, such as Showtime, such as The Zone? Or was he just talking about YouTube boxing media? Because of course, we know, like I always say, that YouTube is a big house for all of boxing. You know, the other networks, like let's use ESPN, they don't cover boxing every day. They cover most of the major sports in America, but they don't really say too much about boxing. So of course, you know, boxing is YouTube when it comes to the sport of boxing, I mean. And YouTube is boxing when it comes to the media side of boxing. So we have so many different perspectives that's going on in the chat. And I think it's very interesting. So I'm not sure if Shakur Stevenson was talking about you know, the journalists and reporters and even the commentators, you know, from the networks, or like YouTubers in the niche of boxing. Not really sure. My God, double salute to him. Just acknowledge him, but I'm going to acknowledge him again. My family, my guy, Mr. Pragmatic, double salute to you. Thank you for your contribution and your support to the channel. As always, bro, thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah, I would have to agree with that. So let's just lump everybody in one big pot, right? And I'll give my perspective on this. So let's take ESPN, right? We know that there are certain journalists and or reporters who, in my personal assessment, and I've been public about this for a while, they don't do their due diligence before reporting. And what I mean basically is they'll put a report out or a story out or a narrative out that is one-sided. Let's say that they say sources say. That's the whole, you know, protective way to not disclose who shared a rumor or a narrative or whether it's true or not, a story, right? And they don't get the other person's side of the story before reporting. Like, I'm just going to use this as an example, right? So let's say Mike Coppinger. Let's say somebody from Terence Crawford's crew or camp or team, or even Terence Crawford himself will say to Mike Coppinger, we've agreed to all the terms to fight Errol Spence, right? But then Mike Coppinger don't go back to confirm whether that's true or not by reaching out to Errol Spence, Errol Spence's representation, or somebody on Errol Spence's team to say, hey, Terence Crawford said this, or even if you don't want to disclose the source, say a reliable source said A, B, and C. Is it true? If it's not true, what parts are true so that I can report accurately and unbiasedly? And I'm not putting Mike Coppinger on the spot. I'm just using it as a reference where Shakur Stevenson is right when he say boxing media is fake. And that's one of the ways as a reporter and journalist, you can be deemed as fake because you're not, reporting on a holistic perspective, on a holistic foundation, so to speak. And so that's not good. To me, that's not good business, right? So that's fake because you're putting out a narrative and you don't even know if it's true. You haven't even confirmed it. And I'm not saying every narrative or every rumor or every story that Mike Coppinger put out is not true. I'm just saying that you personally, I'm talking about the viewership, have heard me make references about this regarding Mike Coppinger personally several times. In fact, I even gave Mike Coppinger an award on this show. This is before I even had a podcast. I was just doing videos, publishing content. And I gave Mike Coppinger an award. And if you don't know what that award is, I don't have the award in this room with me. But I'm about to start giving them awards back out. But I'm talking about the boxing gloves, where I most notably quote myself by saying, you will need to get you a pair of these. All of you that are my day one supporters, y'all know what I'm talking about. But the point that I'm making is that Shakur Stevenson is right in that regard when we talk about quote-unquote boxing media being fake. Another school of thought where I say Shakur Stevenson is right is I've seen a lot of comments in the chat where people were acknowledging the fact that there are a lot of YouTube channels in the niche of boxing that put out false narratives, or they cover certain fighters, or they cover certain stories because the fighter that they're covering is favorable toward them and vice versa, and they're not putting out the whole truth. They're not putting out, the real genuine perspectives. They're just putting out false narratives for viewership, for favors from a fighter, from content opportunities, photo opportunities, etc., whatever, and even money, right? We've seen this happen before, didn't we? Where a promotion company that was starting in the business, I guess they made a deal with one of the other content creators. You know who I'm talking about. See, I'm not a guy who sneak this. I say names. Talk about Blue Blood Sports TV. I don't have no problem with him. Everybody that remember his and I's beef, when him and I, we had a little situations with an S on the end. It ain't no issue, but we keeping it all the way 100. And I'm talking about when BLK Prime offered him the bag, and instead of him maintaining integrity, he switched up on Errol Spence. I don't want to really dive back into that or rehash that, but I'm using it as a reference. And I'm not saying Shakur was talking about him, but I am. I'm talking about there are different channels on YouTube that do put out false narratives, that do try to say things that are favorable toward a fighter that they like, instead of just keeping it all the way honest, and being real and being genuine, right? And so that's what I'm talking about. Mr. Pratt, something just came to my mind, and I want to acknowledge this. I want to say thank you. You said that you like the entire setup that I have now, the new setup. Thank you. I want to let you know I acknowledge your comment. Appreciate that. I was trying to finish my train of thought before I acknowledge you. We got my guy, another Day One supporter here. Thank you so much. Double salute to you. Haven't seen you in a while. I miss you as well. Mr. Gregory Quarterbaum. Appreciate it. Mr. Greg says, good to see you again live, Manager Marty, and all the Roll the Tape family. Good to see you again, Mr. Greg. I miss each and every last one of you. So back to that whole Shakur Stevenson comment. It's like, yeah, a couple of these YouTubers are fake when it comes down to them quote-unquote reporting over boxing. I have a saying now, because I've been on YouTube now for over a year, and I realized that there was a saying when I first got on YouTube as a rookie. People used to say, facts over feelings. I used to hear that, you know what I'm saying? Like in the comment section on my channel, on other people's channel, when I was on other people's panels as a guest, people would be on as other panelists as well, even in the comment section of the content creators who invited me as a panelist and a guest on their channel. I heard people say time and time again, facts over feelings, facts over feelings, facts over feelings. But guess what? I've discovered that it's not facts over feelings. This is where Shakur Stevenson's point is right about people being fake boxing media. It's not facts over feelings. You know what I discovered? It's fighters over facts. The facts can be clear as day to some people, but because they like a particular fighter, or they're a fan of a particular fighter, they won't acknowledge the truth. They'll skip over the truth, and they will continue to run false narratives and lies just because they really, really like a fighter instead of just dealing with the facts. All right, we've seen this time and time again. I mean, I don't even want to tell you how many comments a day I get in my comment section on published content where I see this whole trend of fighters over facts. I'm not criticizing nobody. I'm just saying that's what I discovered. In the beginning, it was like, okay, everybody keeps saying facts over feelings. Where you want to speak the facts, acknowledge the facts, and embrace the facts, irregardless of who the fighter, trainer, and or representation of boxing is, without being in your feelings. But I see that that's not even the case. People be getting in their feelings. And on top of that, they're just reporting things that are favorable to their fighter. And we're going to talk a little bit about that because we have to talk about the controversy between Terence Crawford and Jaron Ennis. Of course, Boots is not an IBF champion. I'm not going to talk about that right now, but I'm just letting y'all know we want to deal with it. We've seen this fake stuff happen. Hey, check this out, right? Not only are there some content creators who have been fake towards other fighters, but let's keep it all the way 100. Some of them fake even towards me, putting out lies, innuendos, and false narratives and rumors, even about me. I've already exposed several of them on this channel, so I'm not trying to rehash them. But y'all know me, I keep it all the way 100 and be honest and real and be genuine about everything that I do. So my point is, I've seen it happen even with me. And most of you that's watching me live and the replay of this live, you also seen how people have not been disclosing the facts with regards to issues that they've had with me. And I can really name drop, but I don't want to, but because of entertainment purposes, I am. You remember that time, the first issue I ever had with anybody on YouTube was Blue Blood Sports TV. Remember that? Then after that, me and Mike Williams Sr. Y'all remember him, right? He's the father and trainer of Michael Williams Jr., the boxer. Me and him had a little situation. Some of y'all don't remember that, but that was in the beginning of this year. Some of y'all do remember that. Y'all remember that? Okay. The guy, Tough Glove Boxing, him. The guy, Ebony Republicans, him. There's some other people that be doing little sneak disses and videos on me, but their channels is not big enough. And y'all might not know who they are by name dropping, right? Recently, as in the last 2 months, the guy, Coach Malachi, Coach, oh man, I ain't got my table here to do my tap dance. Yeah, him. Coach Toby, tap dancing for the guy, the white guy, him. Yeah, him. Rick Glaser, speaking of the white guy, Rick Glaser, I seen my beef with him. You know what I mean? Him. World Combat Sports, somebody I thought I was cool with. He flipped on me and did all. So you've seen it time and time again where these content creators or people that claim that they're experts in boxing, they start discrediting me, knowing that I'm certified as a boxing manager and licensed in multiple states, knowing that I have contacts in business, knowing that I do this, knowing that I've made several different, let me not say several, that sounds like I'm undermining. I've made a lot of transactions in this business, right? Trying to be humble about it. But my point is, y'all seen the fake news and the fake quote-unquote boxing media attack and insult me when I've done nothing wrong to these people that I just mentioned. So all I'm saying is Shakur Stevenson has a valid point. And I'm only saying that if he's referring to boxing media on YouTube. Once again, I don't know if he's talking about boxing media like from the mainstream as far as like networks, The Zone, ESPN, Showtime. But I know on YouTube, y'all might not agree with me. Some of y'all might. On YouTube, yeah, a lot of these guys are fake when it comes to boxing media. Absolutely. And they do have their favorites. They won't even report on someone that is telling the truth. They'll rather stick with the favorable fighter of theirs, knowing that the favorable fighter is not being all the way transparent. But they'll report on it and they'll put false narratives out. And they even start insulting other managers, other promoters, you know, like PBC. And their whole content is based on discrediting PBC, discrediting, you know, someone like an Al Heyman. I can go on and on, you know, but I'm just saying that's fake because that's not true journalism. That's not true boxing media content. That's just hating and just insulting people and all these derogatory terms. I mean, listen, I have people in my comment section, right? And I'm saying people, I'm talking about fans of boxing. At least that's what they portray themselves to be. They will come in my comment section and start calling me Janitor Marty, Janitor Farty, Manager Marty. These are all pet names that Coach Malachi from True Media Sports or True Sports Media, forgot his name. Y'all know what I'm talking about though, right? He gave me those pet names. He designated those insults to me. I didn't know about it at first, and then people started sending it to me. And then I actually approached him. Remember when I called him on the phone while he was live, and I was live too. Y'all remember that? Right. So y'all can go back and look at the videos. You know what I mean? But what I'm saying is these guys do it to me. So I know that when Shakur Stevenson is saying this, I'm not saying at all that Shakur Stevenson is referencing me at all. I am totally not saying that. I even doubt that Shakur Stevenson even know who I am. But what I'm basically saying is boxing media is fake. And people do pick and choose, and people are biased. And the reason why Shakur Stevenson made that reference, let me give the whole picture for contextual purposes, is because there was somebody, I don't know who it was, but there was a reporter, I don't know if he has a boxing channel on YouTube, or is he a part of ESPN, or I don't know, but he was asking Shakur Stevenson a question, and Shakur was like, you favor Devin Haney all the time. All you do is, say all this good stuff about Devin Haney. You're a Devin Haney fan or something he was saying. And that's why he was saying that boxing media is fake and they're biased and they pick and choose what they want to report and when they want to keep it real. That's basically I just want to put it in context. That's basically what Shakur Stevenson, was basically talking about. That was the foundation of why he said what he said, right? So, that's my take on it all. I don't want to keep belaboring the point, but that's just my take. I would have to agree with Shakur Stevenson. Now, some people may have an issue with his presentation of it. Me personally, I don't. I mean, the young man is a grown man. If he wanted to present it the way that he did, as far as using profanity or being immature, some people may think he was immature. I don't. I think he was being genuine, and I respect it. And on top of that, it was so much egregious to some people. Whoever asked the question, whoever the reporter was that asked him the question, and whoever else was there recording, they published it. And of course, it is about creating content. So maybe it wasn't that bad if it was published. You know what I mean? So, we got to deal with it. Let me do this again. I'm going to put the link in the chat again, and then I'm going to publish it so it can be pinned to the top. I don't want anybody to miss it. Just in case we have any guests that want to come on to the live stream, come on through. Let's get your perspective, because we're going to open the panel up to talk about this whole Jaron Ennis versus Terence Crawford controversy. And obviously, you already know the IBF have awarded Boots with the belt. Everybody know that. But he's been called, meaning Boots, have been called email champion, paper champion, big champion. I've been looking at this for almost a week now, a little over a week in my comment section. So I figure I can publicly render my perspective on that as well. But the link is in the chat. Anybody want to come through? Let's get right to it. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Come on through. I'm about to pin the link to the top. All right, I'm trying to pin the link to the top. Before we get to that, though, before we get to the Boots Crawford controversy, there's this topic. Now, I published a video about Demetrius Andrade the other day, and people have been in my comment section, not just on that video, but even my last video. And I was on YSC Sports Media's panel. I was in his chat, and then he had this gentleman on there who said, I forgot the guy's name. I gotta go back and roll the tape. But he said, tell manager Marty that me and him need to talk or something. So I was like, yeah, send me the link. And he did. And of course, the guy wasn't there because I think he had other obligations. But my point is, though, I was asked by another panelist that was up there, the guy, I forgot his name too. Oh man, the guy. Well, anyway, he asked me about, Terence Crawford. He was more so asking about Victor Conti and basically what y'all see on your screen, about the SNAC program. And, it's like, I don't know why people are so enamored about me talking about the SNAC program. but I like it though. Why not talk about it? You know what I mean? Why not? The SNAC program works. And I want to render my verdict on it. You see it on your screen. We're gonna deal with this. We're not gonna stay on this too long. We have to, because I've been in interviews countless times talking about the SNAC program. I've been on my channel talking about the SNAC program. Terence Crawford's friend, LC, he's been on this panel multiple times. We talk about the SNAC program. Other content creators have been talking about the SNAC program, and I'm still being asked about the SNAC program. Okay? But before we deal with the SNAC program and my verdict on that, and I'm sure people may have questions that they want to ask, let me double salute Toon. My God, thank you for the contribution and the support to the channel. As always, Toon. Toon says, I'm still waiting on a video on Wilder's pistol case. I seen 20 tank videos when he got locked up, but the Wilder case flew under the radar. You can't be pro-black tearing down other black people. Thank you for your comment and your feedback, Toon. And Toon, I have to agree with you 100%. And what Toon is referring to, what Toon is referring to is what we're talking about boxing media being biased, right? And he's right. And Toon, I got to give you credit. You're absolutely correct. When Tank Davis had his legal issues, we kept hearing about it over and over and over every day, particularly on YouTube. But we only heard that situation happen with Deontay Wilder one time. In fact, when Bomac, let's use Bomac as an example. When Bomac had a legal issue recently, as a few months ago, we kept hearing about it over and over and over, update after update after update. But with Deontay Wilder's case, we heard about it on the first day on YouTube, and then after that, we heard nothing else. So that's an example that Toon is using to reference the fact that, you know, boxing media cannot be biased. You know what I mean? Cannot be biased. And that's exactly the reason why, segueing into the SNAC program, that's the reason why I don't care who's on the SNAC program. I'm going to speak on it. I don't care if Devin Haney's on the SNAC program, which we know he is. I don't care if Terence Crawford is on the SNAC program, which we know he is. I don't care if Caleb Plant is on the SNAC program, which we know he is. And I can name countless of other fighters, including Demetrius Andre, who's also on the SNAC program, as we know he is. I'm going to continue to say the truth. And the truth is that the SNAC program works. Okay? Now, I know that YSM and others may feel like there is an undertone to it. And I'm okay with that. But just know it works. And that's the bottom line. And also, I have to say this too, and I said this a little bit about my point on YSM Sports Media yesterday when I was asked about the whole SNAC program. Let's just put this in perspective, right? So Willie Monroe Jr. tested positive from a banned substance while he was training and in training camp during his tenure at the SNAC program. This is in 2018. This is public record. Terence Crawford and everyone else that went to the SNAC program after 2018, after Willie Monroe Jr. tested positive for a banned substance, they decided to still go to the SNAC program. So if that is the case, then I shouldn't be held accountable for pointing out that the SNAC program works when grown men, knowing all of the history of Victor Conte and knowing that multiple fighters that was under the SNAC tested positive for a banned substance. Now, I'm not saying that Victor Conti or anybody that worked for the SNAC program administered Willie Monroe Jr. the substances that he tested positive for. I'm not saying that at all. All I'm saying is when you got a guy who is as knowledgeable as a Victor Conti and has been embroiled in controversy and has been convicted, and who still to this day publicly acknowledge that there are PED used in the sport of boxing, which we know of, but also there are other PEDs that are undetectable. When you have a guy publicizing this, you have no choice in certain cases to be suspicious. And I don't think being suspicious is wrong. I just think that it has to be presented correctly, because you don't want to cast suspicions on people who are innocent. But here's the thing, it don't make no difference if a person is innocent or guilty. See, just having a suspicion is not wrong in itself. It's when you start accusing people and you have no evidence, that's when it's wrong. You know what I mean? And I say it's wrong because you have to have evidence before, as YSL used the word jacket, before you place that jacket on somebody. But I ain't place a jacket on nobody. I'm telling you who's in the program, who's promoting the product, who's promoting the paraphernalia, who's promoting the brand, and who's working out in the gym and taking supplements and whatever else Victor Conti is doing to enhance their performance. All right. We have a guy or a woman named Easy Boxing Talk. Easy Boxing Talk, I don't recall you being on this panel before. I don't recognize your name, so this might be your first time on this panel. You do have a picture of Terence Crawford in your profile here, but I want to be able to make sure that we're on the same page and that you're not an actual troll and that you are a real life human being before I add you to the stream. So if you can, Easy Boxing Talk, if you still can hear me, may you place your camera off just so I can see your face. Now, when you join the live stream, when I add you on, you can keep the camera off. I don't mind. But just so I can make sure in the background before I add you on, this is just protocol that I use here on this channel. Can you turn your camera off just so I can make sure that you have a visual and I have a visual of you, and then I'll add you on to the stream. Is that fair enough, Easy Boxing Talk? Okay, Easy Boxing Talk just went off of the back. It just went out. Just as soon as I said that, it just went off. That's interesting. Well, if you want to come back on Easy Boxing Talk, you are more than welcome to come back on. And that's just the protocol that I've been utilizing, ever since I started learning about StreamYard. Yeah, show your face. You ain't gotta show it if you don't want to while we're live. But in the background, though, before I add you to the stream, and that goes for anybody. And it's not just for Easy Boxing, for anybody. You know what I mean? It's all about protocol and doing things with decency and order. Yeah. I love entertainment, as y'all know. But at the same time, I don't want this to turn into a troll debate. Like, I get trolls every day. And guess what? I welcome it. I embrace it. I love it. I am the king of controversy. That's what some people call me. Whereas YSM Sports Media have called me publicly, I'm the most controversial man on boxing YouTube. I don't know if that's true or not. But I embrace that too. But at the same time, though, let's keep it all the way on. Show your face real quick while you're in the background. Then when I add you on, we straight. What I'm about to do right now, I keep saying I'm going to add I'm going to pin it to the top. All right, give me a second. I'm trying to multitask with this here because I want to be able to pin this to the top. Prize Fighter TV says, "Yo, what's good, Marty? Good seeing you at the fights last Sunday." Absolutely, it was a pleasure to see you as well, my brother. Prize Fighter, thank you for acknowledging me and your support too, and your viewership. Thank you. Put this back in the chat. I flew the kite right back out there. So while we waiting for people to come on, any guests that want to come on, let's get to it. I've been in interviews as recent as last week and 2 weeks ago about this whole thing between Terence Crawford and Boots Ennis. I don't even want to unpack the whole thing because it'll take up too much of our time, but I just want to start here. A lot of you fans that have been in my comment section as recently as yesterday, I'm not going to call your name out. You know who you are. Your timeline is off. It's off. So I had a comment from a boxing fan that commented on my video that I did an interview with Boots last weekend. The person said in my comment section that Boots turned down the fight with Crawford because his dad, Bozy, wanted to be loyal to Showtime. The timeline, if that's your perspective, I'm cool with it. I think everybody's entitled to a perspective. But the timeline you saying that is completely inaccurate. By the time Boots talked to Blue Blood Sports TV about setting up a fight between his son Boots and Crawford, that was in January of this year. This was literally a month after David Ebenezer fought Crawford in December. So when Boots and Bozy was talking about fighting Crawford, that was way before January of 2023. And also, I have to notate this because this is as equally as important. When Bozy said to BLK Prime, you have to talk to Steven Espinosa, it's because BLK Prime was trying to do something that was unethically correct in boxing business, by any standards in business, but particularly in boxing, okay? And so that's why Bozy said his loyalty is with Showtime. Let's put this all in perspective here. That's why he said that, because BLK Prime's intention was to get the fight produced on their channel or their network, BLK Prime, by signing Boots so that he can fight Crawford. But Boots was already signed. And when I say signed, I don't necessarily mean that on paper they signed the contract, because according to Bozy, they have a handshake agreement with Steven Espinosa and Showtime. His words, not mine. But it's still like a sign. That's why I'm using the word sign for legal purposes. It's still equivalent to a signed contract because Boots had performed on the network multiple times. So there is an agreement in place, obviously, if he accepted any financial gain or compensation for his services rendered, right? So with that being said, that's a bad business practice. When you know someone is under contract or a fighter under contract with another entity or representation or representative of that entity, and then another entity comes in and try to quote unquote steal that fighter or offer that fighter compensation to break that contractual agreement, that's bad business. All right, so all of that happened in January. So it wasn't that Bozy was saying, oh, I'm just trying to be loyal to Showtime, so we're going to turn down the Crawford fight. That's not what happened. When Steven Espinosa talked to the representation of BLK Prime, it was quickly discovered, which I told y'all was going to happen. If you go look at my published content at the beginning of this year, I broke it all down before Steven Espinosa came out with his interview. But anyway, Terence Crawford wasn't even signed to BLK Prime at the time that this whole quote-unquote negotiation took place between BLK Prime, Blue Blood, who was the middleman that set the call up, and Bozy. So we got to put that in perspective. I don't even know if Terence Crawford really knew initially that that was the fight that they were trying to get for him, because he wasn't signed or obligated to BLK Prime. Now, somebody can say, well, Manager Mario, how do you know that? How do you know he wasn't signed to BLK Prime? Oh, it's very simple and easy. He only had a one-fight deal with BLK Prime. That was what was reported. And don't take my word for it. Let's look at where Terence Crawford went at in January. Where you go in January? Y'all forgot? Y'all remember? He was in De La Hoya's office in LA. Remember when Bernard Hopkins, De La Hoya took that picture together. Remember that? And then the next day, the next night, when Alexis Rocha fought in his fight, you remember that? De La Hoya came out and said, yeah, Crawford was here over the weekend in our offices, and we were trying to negotiate a deal. And remember, he gave the 3 fights that he would actually promote. And Terence Crawford was under the Golden Boy Promotions banner. All that happened in January. So y'all have to get your timeline correct before you start making these inaccurate comments. Because if you make an inaccurate comments, it's sending a false narrative that Boots and Mr. Bosey turned down Crawford. And we all know that have been here from January to now, we all know that is not true. So I wanted to debunk that myth right now. Now, when I interviewed Boots last weekend, I brought this up to Boots. And I can publicly say this because I interviewed him and I asked him. I said, people are saying you are an email champion, a paper champion, because you didn't win this belt in the ring and you did not fight a fighter who had ownership of this belt, Terence Bud Crawford. And I said, what's your response to that? And this is what Boots told me. He said, my response to that would be, even to Crawford, well, why you ain't fight me then? And that was a good question. And so now I pose that question to Crawford fans. Link is in the chat too. Why didn't Crawford fight Boots? That's my question. Since people are saying that Boots is an email champion, people are saying that Boots didn't fight Crawford for it in the ring. So my question becomes, why didn't Crawford fight Boots? We need answers. Let me try to see if I could pin the link to the top. I doubt if people come on though. I get the sense that people don't want to come on. I get that sense. I'm not saying people, not you, Mr. Greg. I know you represent Terence Crawford as a fan very well, not you. I'm just saying certain people, you know, that be in the comments section, that's what I'm referring to. That be in the live chat. Certain people like that, you know, that's real gangster with the fingers in the comments. None of those guys. But when it's time to come on up and publicly deal with the realities and have a dialogue, people don't want to come. Hey, I got other content creators themselves that's scared to come on this channel. So you're not alone. Don't feel like you're by yourself, okay? Let me try to get this pin to the top. I got my guy here. I already told him that I'm happy to see you.
I was coming.
Mr. Gregory Quarterbaum, how are you today, sir?
I'm fine. It's good to see you. Been looking for you to come back on live and, you know, bring the content and all the good things I think you have been doing. You asked the question why Boots and Crawford didn't fight. I have to, because see, I don't get into the email champion, and that doesn't make any difference to me. I look at Crawford and Spence couldn't fight when Crawford and Boots couldn't fight when Spence went over to BLK. Boots was with Showtime, as you just said, and it wouldn't have made sense for all the money that Showtime had put into Boots for him to then go over to a fight on an app. But the other thing that got missing, I think some people probably thought it didn't say it. You got to remember, Spence was supposed to fight Crawford. They were negotiating the first time. It didn't happen. Crawford went over to the BLK Prime deal. But what has to be also remembered that negotiation with PBC also included Showtime to be the broadcast manager or broadcast partner for that fight for them to happen. So I don't think Showtime would have taken, say, well, you come over here and fight our guy, especially after you already done walked away from a fight that they were going to broadcast as well. So why are we going to now make our partner mad by taking you to fight our guy when you didn't fight their guy that we were going to broadcast, if you know understand what I'm saying. It just didn't make sense that we've been talking about sometimes integrity and what was right and what is wrong. Crawford didn't have anybody to answer to. So it was easier for him to do that. But Boots did. But it made sense for Showtime to stand on some kind of principles too. I mean, I'm just going to be honest. I criticize Crawford, as you know, even though I support him. So I couldn't see Showtime taking Crawford to fight Boots after Crawford had already walked away from the PBC deal, because they said, well, he might do the same thing to us. So I get why that didn't happen in that case, because both ways would not have worked for them. Before this, however, I couldn't really tell you why the two of them didn't fight before they got to all of this. Now, once Crawford got stripped of the belt, just to come back in prime time again, if Crawford is going to stay at 147, he's still got to deal with the issue of the rematch with Spence. So that's no getting around that. I think there's going to be some legalities that's going to come up later on, since there's allegedly no broadcast partner for that fight to happen. So we'll see how that plays out. But if Crawford is going to stay at 147 or wants to stay at 147, I understand why he want to do that, for the distinction. And another thing I've said, most boxers who have a belt or have some belts are in a certain economic category where they're going to be making a certain amount of money that's going to be made for them because they have belts, regardless whether they're at the high level or the low level. So he gives up the belts. He's now a former undisputed, two-time undisputed champion. But how popular is Crawford really is, where he'll still command the same amount of money that he would if he had belts. Boots, to me, is the next generation. Everybody's probably going to have to see him who's coming. I mean, Crawford's almost 38. Boots is what, 26, 27, something like that?
26, 25, 26.
Yeah, so there's at least a 10 to 12 year age difference, first of all, regardless of who's better and who's not. He's that generation. Everybody's coming up, Shakur, Tank, all of those guys who are coming up there in the same age group. Eventually, they're going to arrive. Most of them are going to arrive at welterweight, and that's where they should be seeing Boots right now. Crawford, if he's going to stay there, fight however they got to do it, finish that deal, that business with Spence. If you're going to stay at 147, yeah, go ahead and fight Boots, because he's your mandatory. You already been stripped of the belt. My understanding is that the IBF had already notified him, I think back in August, I believe, that, hey, y'all got to start some negotiation. Crawford isn't favored with the boxing powers that be, so to speak. He's not that popular with them because he shook things up a little bit. That's my feeling about it. But he didn't also ask for any kind of, again, I don't know whether he did, but it's not been reported. He didn't ask for any kind of extension. I don't think they was going to give him any kind of grace anyway, because IBF does not recognize rematch clauses, if I'm correct about that. So where we stand is, you're going to stay at 147, do your business with Spence, or get that done. Either fight Boots, or yeah, give up the belts. But I understand why he would want to keep the belts, because he wants that distinction. I mean, that's the only thing he has. He's not as loved or beloved as it appears that Spence is. Sometimes, as I said before, he needs to shut up. A lot of the times he needs to shut up, because sometimes what you say can come to being, even if it's not part of the rules. But if they feel you're not going to stay anyway, say, well, he's talking about going to 168 and 154 and 160. It shouldn't be no problem. He shouldn't be beefing about stripping the belt. Now, I felt they was a little malicious with it, but I had to understand they did tell him, this is what you're going to have to do. So we can't just say they just arbitrarily did it, because I was feeling like that at first as well, until I realized they did tell him. So that's kind of where I'm seeing that. He got to do something. Shut up and just do it. Fight Spence. You're going to stay at 147. say, I'm going to fight you at 147 to get that belt back. That's kind of where I think he is. But why didn't fight him before they even got to this, before he ever fought Spence, I could not tell you.
I can tell you why.
Yeah.
We have to take the words of Terence Crawford himself. Terence Crawford said in an IG Live, which we all know this, in November of 2022, his words, not mine. He said, people keep asking me, how come I didn't fight this guy? How come I didn't fight this guy? How come I didn't fight Boots? How come I didn't fight Ortiz? He said, Boots' name never came up. That was his words. So the reason why this fight did not materialize, according to Crawford himself, in November of 2022, he said Boots' name never came up. But I did a video, and I'm going to basically repeat the same I'm going to repeat the same sentiments that I echoed then, was Boots' name didn't have to come up. He was ranked number 2 in the WBO. Okay? And the reason why Boots' name didn't have to come up is because of his ranking. Because remember, we were talking about the ranking system that had David Ebenezer ranked number 6 in the WBO. But number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5, all of those top 5 fighters that were ranked from 1 through 5 in the WBO, they didn't get the shot at the WBO title for Crawford. Instead, they were skipped over for him to fight David Ebenezer, who was not only ranked number 6 for the WBO, but we all know this to be true. He was already scheduled months prior to fight in another country to headline an entire card. Now, I've already given, my spill on that, but I don't want to rehash that. But my whole point is, Terence Crawford said himself that those guys' names never came up. Now, fast forward a few months after he said that, on $1 Million Worth of Game with Gillian Wallow, who's from my city, by the way, Terence Crawford told Bozy and them, who Wallow FaceTimed, and said, why didn't y'all go the WBO route to fight me? Instead, y'all went the IBF route. So it sounded like y'all was ducking me. And Bozy told Crawford, we always wanted to fight you. I told you that when we talked on the phone, Crawford. That's what Bozy told Bud. Now, the thing is, look at this. Check this out. Bud said, why did y'all go the WBO route to become my mandatory? Here's the great thing about all of that. He asked them, why did y'all go the IBF route? Then he turns around and beats Spence and becomes the IBF champion. And guess what happened? He inherited the very thing that the IBF was going to do anyway, even though he didn't know that was going to happen to him. But he spoke that into existence by saying, y'all went the IBF route. They sure did, and guess what happened? The IBF stripped Crawford after he won. So that's what happened. Those are the facts.
Yeah, they told him that that's what they were going to do. I personally wish that he would have had at least asked for the grace to, or even made the promise, if he wants to stay at 147, let me get this rematch done, and the next fight will be with Boots. Now, they still might have said, well, you can get the fight, but we still taking the belt. Or we won't make, I think he was already interim champion, Boots was?
Yeah.
So I couldn't even give him that. He already had that. So if he had done that, in my opinion, that might have made him look a little more favorable, because it does not look good. And because Terence doesn't know how to manage and talk to the media, in my opinion, he puts himself in the position where he gets criticized and get criticized badly. And then, of course, he gets his feelings hurt because he's getting criticized. So, it's kind of, you help yourself here, but then you undercut yourself all the way down the line, because you're talking when you should just be quiet, because those words come back to haunt you, and they have. So I think it's wrong to criticize Boots at all. He hasn't done anything to anybody. He did what he was supposed to do. He had to deal with the system that boxing is. He went here, he went there, trying to get there, and he got to a certain space, Well, okay, I'm where I'm supposed to be right now. Either somebody's going to fight me or somebody's going to get stripped. And it just so happened Terrence got stripped of one of the belts. So what you going to do now? As I said, finish that business with Spence. If you want to stay, you're really going to have to fight Boots now because he got one of the belts. And I'm sure he wants to be undisputed as well. Do that. Get it out the way. Because I don't think Terrence has but about 2 fights, maybe 3. I think we're pushing it with 3.
Well, he might have 5 left.
Yeah, I think he only have about 2 or 3.
Well, there's a reason why I'm saying he had 5 left. I have to draw some entertainment value to this.
Oh.
Look at your screen, Greg. Look at your screen, Greg. Look at your screen, Greg. The man might have 5 fights left and be still 4-time 4-division world champion. Because the SNAC program works, baby.
Hey, listen, I want to ask you, ask you about that as well. Because remember,
before you ask me, Greg, let me say this because I think this is important to piggyback off of what we were saying. My question would be, where is Terence Crawford's boxing manager? You see, I always speak on this as a boxing manager, right? So, of course, he had good representation to help him negotiate the deal to secure the biggest fight and the biggest bag of his career against Spence because he has an entertainment attorney, right? Consulting for him, right? But now this is the moment where he needs an actual boxing manager, right? Because with a boxing manager, number one, he would have never had to get, he would have never gotten stripped of that title. You want to know why? Because if I was representing Crawford as a boxing manager, right after the fight with Spence at the press conference, when we heard, I'm saying we, if I was Team Crawford, like if I was there at the press conference, I'm his boxing manager, right? We heard Errol Spence say out of his own mouth, when a reporter or journalist asked Spence, in the rematch, do you still want to fight at 147? And Spence said, no, I want the rematch to be at 154 pounds. Those were the words of Errol Spence Jr. Me, the boxing manager, hearing this, knowing that my guy just dominated Spence, and knowing that we can do it again, and we want to secure another big payday, right? We're going to acquiesce to that demand. Why? Because my client has already made boxing history. In other words, we don't have to defend these titles that we made history with because there's a cost associated to these titles. And we're talking 4 of them that requires a 3% deduction from my client's purse. That's a 12% deduction in total from my client's purse every time he fights and defends these titles, right? So we can save a whole bunch of money on his car insurance and that new mansion that he built by just saying, listen, we've already made history. My client is going to vacate every last belt that we have because we're moving up to 154 to do what? Secure another big payday and another win because we can beat Spence in dominating fashion. We're going to secure a big payday. We're going to save 12% in the rematch because we're not defending any of the titles. And then after we beat Spence, whoever holds the titles at 154, whether it be Jamel, Charlo, Tim Zoo, and the rest of them, my client can beat them. We're going to secure a big payday there. And then guess what else we're going to do? We're going to have another unification at another division. And then we can ride off in the sunset and my client can retire. That's what I would do if I was Terence Crawford's boxing manager representing him in this situation. We would save, ourselves from the public humiliation, from being under scrutiny and everybody criticizing us and giving us a retirement party so early because we got stripped of the idea. No, it's all about image control and it's also about perception, right? Perception is reality in business. That's what they say, right? So we're not even going to sit up there and let no sanctioning body strip us because that's not a bad thing. We just saved 3%. But the thing is, we're not going to defend none of the titles because we're not competing in this division no more anyway. So what difference do it make? However, because of image, we going to just vacate them like Riddick Bowe did when he threw the WBC belt in the trash when everybody was present to fight Lennox Lewis. I mean, so those are the tactics that I would use as his boxing manager, so that we can secure another big payday, beat the Spence again, another big win, and then go up and fight the winner of Jamel Charlo or whoever else he going to fight to defend the titles, beat them, become 154 pound champion, and then become 3-division world champion, unified all 4-belt era. You don't get no better than that. That's just how simple it is. Because the division is already right for Jaron Ennis to take over. He's a young gun. He's a new generation, like you said, Greg. Let the young boy have it. We did our job already.
I kind of thought that's what, when he started talking about Charlo, I kind of thought that's what they were going to do. I think he let Charlo, well, when Charlo went and took the fight with
Canelo.
With a Canelo, why he started talking when Charlo's down off the list, that should not have happened. But I'm wondering, because you made a mention about who the manager is, because I don't know who the manager is, and I don't see anybody who's claiming management of Terence Crawford. But I'm wondering, was that a one-off when they negotiated the deal with Spence, and then that was it? Because right after that deal, it seems like he went right back to doing everything wrong again publicly, and how he said things. There was nobody teaching him how to deal with the media. So I believe that it probably was a one-off. He didn't learn as much as he should about public relations and things of that nature and how to deal with media, because I think that's what happened, because he's all over the place again, and of course subject to all the harsh criticism again. Yeah. And now this is even worse, because Boots is getting criticism that he shouldn't get, in my opinion. And I think it's an offshoot of what they were doing to Terence to some degree. I don't think that he deserves that. Terence I've always said, even with the Victor Conte stuff, that's something he's going to have to live with once he went over there. So there's no erasing that one. But some of the stuff could have been avoided, and unfortunately it didn't. So now we have to see what else is going to happen, because this mess with Showtime, I think that Showtime situation is going to get messy from a legal point of view, because I don't really know. I can only guess myself how, once they have a rematch, where is it going to be, and on top of everything else, how does a contract, what does it stipulate in terms of where that rematch, who's going to do the broadcasting? So there's some things I think that may be similar to what happened with Canelo when he left the Zone. The Zone was happy for Canelo to leave because they don't have to pay him all that money. So, but he still had to sue De La Hoya in order for all of that to happen. I hope they don't end up in court, because the longer this gets drug out, it's going to be bad really for both of them in terms of the times they're not going to be in the ring. So we got to, we have to see. It's interesting what may shape up, what will shape up in terms of how this fight, if it happens, between those two. And it's also going to be good now that Boots is the champ. What does he want to do right now? He got the belt now. So does he want to take whoever? It really ain't nobody down at welterweight.
I was just about to say, Greg, I'm trying to figure it out, but ain't nobody really for him to fight.
So they need to talk and do something. Now, it's once Boots leaves Showtime, however, who is he going to sign with?
Well, the great thing about this is let me reframe it. There's some big news coming soon. And that's all I'm going to leave it at.
Okay. All right.
There's about 3 that I've heard from, and I'm talking about reliable sources. I'm talking about reliable sources close with what's going on. Mm-hmm. Big news is coming real soon. I'm not going to say the networks that I heard on the streaming platforms. Big news. So it is not going to make a difference, because all 3 of them good. So the money's there. And guess what? There's another country now. I'm throwing my own little spin on this part. This is stuff that have nothing to do with it. But hey, Saudi Arabia got that money now. You see Saudi Arabia, they the sovereign bank over there, they take it over. They trying to globalize sports over there. So it's money in boxing.
Well, you know what? Now that you said that, I could say I'll speculate.
That's just me talking. That's Manager Marty. That's Saudi Arabia. That Manager Marty talking. But the other,
I will speculate in that same direction. If Boots doesn't have anybody that he's obligated to once Showtime officially is out, he's a free agent. I'm not sure how Terrence's situation is going to shape out because he still got that rematch clause, but there's no broadcast manager partner right now. Yes. He'll probably be a free agent as well. Maybe, just maybe, third party can get them over to Saudi Arabia, for that unification bout, because I'm sure the Saudis would like that, a big fight, that's unification, and money can be made that way too.
But it won't make business sense, Greg, because both of these fighters, Crawford and Spence in this rematch, first and foremost, it doesn't generate the amount of interest that it did before the first fight. So
no, I'm not talking about Crawford Spence. I'm talking about Boots.
Oh, Boots is either. Okay, so let's use that. So Boots and Crawford fighting in Saudi Arabia would make good business sense only because you have two American fighters fighting each other. In other words, it would be more beneficial if you had somebody else of a different culture, a different race, a different country against the Black American fighter, and then bring it over there to, let's say, Saudi Arabia. But to have two Black American fighters fight over to Saudi Arabia, I mean, no disrespect to the Black community, but most of us don't even go to the local shows, nor the fights in the States, in the big fights. I'm talking about by the numbers compared to the fighters who have a whole country on their back.
Well, I've seen. Well, I mean, we've
so
seen.
That's all. What I'm saying, a lot of the culture and fans of Crawford and Boots are not going to travel over to Saudi Arabia by boatloads for them to get the live gate revenue that they would deserve for that type of fight. So it would be more beneficial for them to have that fight against those two guys in the States.
I understand that. But we've also seen two Black fighters go outside the country and fight each other in the heavyweight.
That's true. That's true.
So that's also that's why I say it could happen. I understand what you're saying as well, because things are different now than they were then. But because Saudi Arabia and Dubai and those places have become very, very popular. So it's still a big chance, depending on how much money is put into building that fight, if it could even happen. But that's an opportunity, a big opportunity, more for Boots, because he's young, he's coming up. Crawford is still really closer to being out the door than Boots is. Boots is still just getting in the door. So I can see that happening too. It depends on how things play out, but I would love to see it play out well. The other thing is, if Crawford, once they finish this mess with Spence, fought maybe Tim Tszyu for one of the belts. Again, it's not a barn burner, but again, Saudi Arabia is looking to increase their visibility and the kind of monies they generate. So they may take a fight like that and bring it over because they're trying to be a boxing mecca. They don't just want to make oil. They want to have a number of things that happens over there. So sometimes you have to take something like a Tim Tszyu versus Crawford and turn it into something. And that could be a possibility as well, because there's still money over there and they ready to spend it. So we'll see how that plays out. But again, it comes down to what this Boots wants to do right now, because he kind of in the driver's seat. As far he got a belt, he got to fight somebody. So don't sit around and wait and see what the old guys are going to do, because they still circling around each other. They got a little mess over there. He doesn't really have to jump into that mess. Maybe fight some mandatories. maybe just fight some guys just to stay busy because he hasn't been in the ring in a while either.
Right. Well, he would definitely Boots was in the ring, a couple months ago, but Boots would have to defend the title within 9 months according to the IBF's rules and regulations. So he's got to fight somebody that's ranked, in the championship contention. So who that is, it's a couple names, but I don't think there's nobody that's able to challenge Boots to win.
I would say take whatever fight that's going to make the most sense at the particular time, just to let people, just to make that announcement. I am now IBF welterweight champion. Here I am. The guys up there who still messing around can't just say I'm nobody because I also am a champion now. So he can make that announcement. That could be a statement fight, and then either Crawford will come back or he won't. And if he doesn't come back, then the guy everybody needs to see to be considered on his level got to see him, even though there may be 3 belts that's still floating around out there.
Yeah, that's true. Look, we're going to close out real soon,
Sure.
but while I have you here, I want to get your perspective on this. Double salute to my family. Rachel and Onito Donaire, welcome, of course, as always, family. Y'all know how we do. In the chat, this has to be late breaking because I didn't hear anything about this until just now. And I want your take on it because I got to give my spill on this. This is crazy. So, as you can see on your screen, Rachel and Onito said the winner of Haney Progress will be required to make a mandatory defense against Sandor Martin. Now, if people don't know who he is, he's the guy who was involved in a controversial fight with Teofimo Lopez. And I say controversial because there were people that believe that he actually won that fight against Teofimo Lopez, and he actually knocked Teofimo down, but the referee counted it as a no knockdown. Also, that fight took place on the same day that Terence Crawford fought David Ebenezer back in December. So before I move on to the next comment that Rachel and Nito put in the comment section, what is your take on that? I mean, if Haney wins or Progress, they would have to fight Sandor Martin. I mean, Sandor is nothing to sneeze at. He's not a lady. Right. He's not no guy that just come in there and just be a B-side. He got skills. He can box. He can fight. Greg, what's your take on that, man?
First, I would say whoever wins the fight shouldn't shy away from taking this fight. I think that's a good thing for Mr. Martin. He's probably feeling he got cheated in the fight with Tio. This is a really good way of paying him back because now you're the mandatory for these two guys who fight at the level that they fight at. So this in itself, to me, okay, y'all trying to do me right. Right now, that's how I would look at it. Okay, you didn't do me right the first time, but you certainly giving me the big opportunity here. And I think both of those guys should wholeheartedly embrace that fight without, well, I'm the A side, I want to look over here, because everybody does that now. I mean, it seems to be you're going to hear that immediately once you start asking when somebody has won. We got to see how much money is on the table because, of course, money is always a factor. But to me, my take is both of them should embrace that fight, and they should win in my opinion, spectacular fashion to settle what we think happened to Mr. Martin. Okay, you got your opportunity back, and you didn't produce, or maybe you do. And yeah, you're supposed to have this belt now because you got jumped, and then you came back, and so that's how I see that should happen.
Wow. All right. And now, hold on. I have to say this. This is as equally as important. And we have another comment by Rachel Donaire and Nito here in the chat. And I'm going to read it here. WBC will look to order Jamal Charlo versus Carlos Adames should Canelo defeat Benavidez Jr. Now, why is Benavidez Jr. and Canelo's name coming up in the same breath? We know for the longest, both of these fighters' name have been put in the same sentence for them to fight each other and for Benavidez to finally get an opportunity. Now, the thing about it is, this next comment that you see on your screen will give Benavidez the opportunity to fight Canelo. If Benavidez wins against Andre, he will be the mandatory for Canelo, and equally, if Andre wins against Benavidez, then he will become the mandatory for Canelo. What is your take on that, Mr. Gray?
Those two guys have been chasing Canelo for quite some time. It's time to stop running. It's time to stop the shell games. It's time to just say, okay, I'm getting criticized. I'm the man. Benavidez has been chasing him for a while. Andre went as far as go to one of the press conferences that Canelo had, and Canelo just basically laughed in his face. I forgot what fight. I think that was the fight. What was it, Bevo? That Andre went to the press conference and tried to demand a fight from Canelo, and Canelo just laughed at him.
I thought that was him in play, but it could have been him.
It might have been, but whatever the fight it was, Andre went there because he was trying to push forward the narrative. You running from me, etc. I haven't seen
the post fight. At the post fight.
Yeah, post fight. Yeah, I haven't seen Benavidez does that, but Benavidez seems to take the track. Let me just keep winning, and ultimately he gonna have to see me. With Andre, because he's had so many bad breaks, I don't know whether it's his business people. I don't even know what it is, because he's never gotten. I mean, he's been fighting this long and still has never got a big fight, and he's been a champion twice. So that's puzzles me. But you know, that's the business of boxing. You know how it goes. But either one of them, I think Canelo needs to go ahead and plant his feet and just decide whoever wins this fight, we're gonna settle this. I'm thinking it's going to be Benavidez a little bit more than I think Andre. I'm not writing them off, but I think it's going to go more that way. And I think it's going to, between the two of them, the fight will probably sell a lot better than Canelo and Andre, to be quite honest. So that's my feeling about the two. But I hope we won't be on here talking. I said it before, we've done more fighting on YouTube about fighting than, we don't have rematches, trilogies, I should say, and the fights still don't happen. So I hope that going into 2024, that it'll be less people getting personal about somebody's opinion and be more in tune to, okay, here's what happened in the fight, and this is what I liked, and et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, very well stated. I'm going to do basically 2 or 3 separate videos, because this is like big meat information. And I want to make sure that I provide a business aspect for all the new scenarios that Rachel and Nonito have put out there. And thank you again for that information, Rach and Nonito. I really appreciate that.
Oh, salute to them both as well. I forgot to say that.
Oh, yeah. Mr. Greg, it's always a pleasure to have you on the broadcast. Live and living color, man. Thank you so very much. I can probably say this to you, that I appreciate you. I respect you. I got your email. I already told you I got that email.
Right.
But every time I talk to you or see your name, I think about that email, and I am definitely in the works with that. So pretty soon, hopefully, we'll get some information and confirmation on sealing the deal on that.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So, that's a long process too. You know that.
Oh, I know. But that's why you have to step away sometime to put some things together. And, we all have missed you being here. And so it's good that you're back, and the word will be out that you're back. And we love to do background, that's great. Roll the tape podcast.
That's it.
That's the thing.
And so here's the thing. I'll let the cat out the bag before we go, and before I let you go, Greg, because I want you to give us your last words to close us out, Mr. Greg. I will be back here tomorrow and Friday, and this is the new schedule. Today is what, Wednesday, correct?
Correct.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2:45 p.m. Live and living color every single week, 3 times a week right here. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 2:45 p.m. We are here live on the episodes of Roll the Tape Podcast. Of course, throughout the week, I'm going to be producing content. So that's our secure schedule for now. I know that's a rough timing, but the thing about it is this, and I have to explain this to all the viewers that's watching live and the replay of this live. There's nothing wrong with competition, and I never shy away from it. But at the same time, on YouTube, it's really hard to get in for your audience to attach themselves just to you when you're competing with other content creators who have their own slots. Now, of course, there was a time when my slots were designated, particularly on Fridays at 6:30 p.m. and Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m. But of course, as things have evolved and times have changed and schedules change, things have obviously been adjusted. So those are the times, that's the best times that I think where I can have my core audience show my support, show their support, and still for me to be able to give quality content without a whole lot of distractions and competition. Now, the thing that bothers me about the schedule is that my West Coast audience, right? I don't want them to be deprived. But at the same time, if I push the time forward to maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, the West Coast audience, they will get me live. But the issue is because we share the same audience, some of us content creators, most of the fan base are used to going, to other content creators. And it's really hard to kind of sneak in. So I did want to at least have a specific time where it's just my audience, just me. Then of course, as time progresses, more content creators will come on their time slot. All right. So I'm just trying to be mindful where I can accommodate all of the audience and not leave anybody out. And of course, as time progresses, we will make our adjustments accordingly. But right now, that's the best time where I can get, the viewership, my core audience to still have their focus on me, my focus on them. And then as time progresses, of course, then other content creators will come on as time get later and later and later. All right.
But it's also the style of your show. A lot of the shows, as you know, I'm on 2 others that I go on. They have a certain tenor, a certain way that things happen. Your show has a different way of going about things. I think your show probably is more cerebral. You have less I shouldn't say back and forth, but you have less arguing. You have less people getting overly personal or over emotional. So you're going to get, to me at least, you're going to get an audience that's looking for more intelligence in terms of how they express themselves, their opinions, even if those opinions are wrong or disagreed with. Where you got another show, somebody's going to call you a name, somebody's going to start getting mad, but those shows also produce a certain audience as well. Or you're going to have people who take sides. You got a couple of guys, all of them agree. So if there's somebody on the show, they can talk about that particular person. I mean, that's just the style of the show. And then there's those who have a certain topic and they just stay on that one topic. So it just depends on the style that you have. You have a style that's different. Now, I told you everybody was going to start following behind your interactive style, that's happened. I see it all over the place now.
You see that, don't you, Mr. Gray?
Yeah, you've led the way in that. So I think where you take back control, or at least take back your leadership position, because you've been gone, is to continue to draw people who are going to bring their intelligence to the show, leave their personal feelings to the side, even though somebody can say something about you that might hurt your feelings, but just ignore it. Stay intelligent. There's a audience for intelligent conversation and even discourse, even about this crazy sport of boxing.
Yep.
So if you stay there, your audience will still continue to come back. I mean, we get to know each other. We see each other's names in the chat or come on, so we kind of know what kind of person this is based on how they've been on the chat. You go to someone else, you know, you're going to have to be a little more combative with somebody. You know what I mean? So it's just a matter of that, man. That's all it is. You can still compete because there's going to be an audience for Manager Marty. There's going to be an audience for all the others. So you grab the most intelligent ones and bring them over here and keep.
Yep. And I still like the smoke too. So we still got a mixture of what you talking about.
You can have a little smoke. Smoke is not bad. It's when it gets personal. That's when it gets bad.
You can't get personal. So I try to mix entertainment and education together. And like you talked about, having an audience that want to hear about the business side of boxing, having another audience who just want to hear intelligent dialect. Then you had another audience that want that beef, that smoke, that controversy. So I like
they just want fire all through the whole show, you know. And as long as we all get the chance to laugh a little bit as well, because that diffuses a lot of stuff that somebody's going to put something that everybody can laugh at. And we need to have that as well. And I've seen it done too. So I've seen it on other shows where it gets heated. Somebody say something funny and it diffuses the situation for a while. And that's good.
And Mr. Greg, I got to leave you with this. And I'm going to let you get the last words to close us out. But before I do that, my guy, Big Money, I see you in the chat. My main man, Pots and Pans, Mini Face Publishing, salute to you. I see you in the chat. And my other guy, my main man, Pots and Pans. I'm mad that you guys were a little late, but there's my other guy, KQKC, Boxing Network, my guy. Salute to you, man. Always a pleasure. Hey, listen, guys, tune in tomorrow and Friday. That's my new schedule now, 2:45 p.m. We're going to try to be here every single week on those days. If I need to adjust the time a little bit later, I will. I have no problem with doing it. But I just want to make sure that we can, see where the times can be beneficial to everybody, because I want everybody to enjoy the content as far as the audience is concerned. I want to ask you a question about something that you can give the last words to close us out real quick. Mr. Greg, you had said something that was very true, and I've noticed it a while now. People have been basically stealing my dance moves, so to speak. And I don't want to say it like that, but I'm a trendsetter. Everybody knows that, right? I'm a very humble guy, so I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal because it's not important. But haven't you noticed that there are certain people that not just follow, you talked about the engagement aspect, the interactive aspect of what I do here, but even it's like everybody know when they come on a panel. I don't have a list of rules of what to do and what not to do. People know because you've all seen me for a while live, but it's like, it's certain language that I don't use myself, and I don't allow people to just go over the top with profanity and insults and sexual references to genitals and all that other crazy stuff. And it amazes me how other people are following that trend, and I think it's a great thing. I think it's good to have some profanity and some vulgarity because there's an audience for that, and it just spices up everything because YouTube is full of drama, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that people have been following certain formats that I do here, and I like that because it's stuff here on YouTube that's content creators where we all can take a piece of something, learn and grow, and make it our own. But me, I like being unique. You know what I mean? I like doing things different to set myself apart so that people can get a different experience, including the fresh bread that I like to provide here on the channel. So I said all that to say I appreciate your observation. And my question really was, how did you discover that? The stuff that you were saying, you discovered that. You noticed it. How did you notice?
When I first came on your show, remember I told you I was thinking about the subject matter that you started with. And so I'm looking at seeing who else was doing it, because I'm sure other content creators were doing something similar, seeing who's doing something that they want to do or who wasn't doing something they want to do. So when I started coming on your show, and was allowed to come on and talk and so forth and so on. Then I doubled back and looked at other shows. They weren't doing it then. Then when people started having little conflicts with you and things like that, and you had certain guys or who in the chat go to other shows talking, and then I'm almost certain those podcasters were looking at what you were doing, because why is everybody coming to my show talking about your show, right? So they said, "Oh, he over here talking directly to people. Let me go back to my show and maybe start doing that too." Because they look, that everybody's they're competing, of course, but they're looking at what's working, and what's going to work for the podcast is people able to talk to each other directly. That's one of the biggest things that a podcaster, particularly with boxing, because everybody got a lot of testosterone, everybody pounding their chest and so forth. So you want to have that opportunity to do that. And so they started seeing that. Then they look at the things that you brand yourself with. Remember, I told you somebody's trying to use roll the tape, or somebody's trying to put in a little comedy, here and there. Once in a while, you have the mention of that other podcaster, or and who they're talking about when they say things like that. So you just observe and you watch and you see what everybody is trying to do. Some get it better than others, but that's imitation is a sincere form of flattery, as you know. So when you start, so if I got 1,000 or 100,000 subscribers, but I see somebody who's just getting started that's growing quicker, but don't have as much, I'm going to wonder how he's growing so fast. Yeah. Oh, I see what he's doing. Let me incorporate that. So I started seeing those kind of things, and that's what happened. You just have to look at who's growing, and you'll see some of yourself.
Yeah, I do. I actually do. And even my mannerisms, I use theatricals and mannerisms to entertain everybody. People use it. I see what's going on. But I like it though, not because they're doing it because they're imitating me. I don't care about that. That's not important.
Right.
I like it because if they're watching my mannerisms, if they're watching how I'm formatting my shows, if they're watching how I adjust them from just going video on the phone to all the stuff you see today, if they're watching that, they are listening to the information of business, of the sport of boxing that they haven't encountered nowhere else, and they're learning. Remember, that's my only objective. I don't care about people mimicking me. Listen, I ain't going up and I'm a humble person. I don't care about that. What I care about is if you get the information based on the education of the business of boxing that you get right here when you encounter this podcast and this channel. And I love that. And that's why I love people like Rachel who invest her time to come on and help me out and give that perspective and give that education and other people too. So this is what this channel is about. We got some entertainment too.
Yeah, you got to have that. Even the shows where they got a lot of conflict, and that's part of what the show is about. Information still gets disseminated there as well. You still learn something once you finish hollering and screaming at each other. Right. There is some nuggets of information that you'll get. But what you also will see, which is also good for these shows, some of the same people that I see over here, they may not come on the show, but they're in the chat. So the other two shows I go on, I see some of those same people from here over than the other two. I no longer look at other boxing websites or platforms or podcasters anymore. I might glance at something, but I don't make it a point to be on this show, to try to go on this show. Yeah. 3 is enough. Really 2 is enough, but 3 is enough. Because we're still talking about the sport of boxing. It's still enjoyable because there's still the entertainment aspect of it. And that's enough for me. Now some people want to be on all of them and go on all of them. And that's good too. I had no problem with that. But you found it's different styles. And if you see 1 or 2 styles that you like, that you want to be a part of, that's where you go. And that's why I said it depends on what your style, your format is, and how you do it. And because the key is to that you're interactive, and that's the key there. And you're going to always get the people that you get, and they're going to bring their people. I tell a lot of people about the shows I go on. Now, whether they just be in the chat, try to go on, I don't really know. I haven't seen it. I've seen a few that were in the chat that I told about, and that's what we have to do. If we like your show, tell other people about it. Come on, send them a little something, bring some information if you got it, because all of us are going to learn. We try to help the sport of boxing in a really big way. I think y'all are the new generation and the new frontier. So that's my feeling about it. So that's my motivation. It's not just to be on the show to talk. I enjoy it, but I want to see all this stuff happen. So that's where I see it.
Man, very great point. And you've been saying that from day one. You've been saying that from day one. So everybody tune in live tomorrow and Friday. Of course, tomorrow we're going to dive into the breakdown and prediction of the fight between Edwin De Los Santos and Shakur Stevenson. We're going to talk about some more business and some sport of boxing. We got some more Terence Crawford information that we have to present. Of course, there's some other things that we're going to talk about tomorrow. So let me re-clarify this. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every single week, 2:45 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to turn my camera off because the last few seconds is going to go to my guest, the guy who's been supporting this channel, one of the most thorough and honest and non-delusional Terence Crawford fan that I know, Mr. Gregory Quarterbaum. Mr. Greg, thank you again for joining us. I'm going to let you close out the last few seconds. It's all yours, and I salute everybody that came today, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow live in living color with another episode of Roll the Tape Podcast with Manager Marty. Mr. Greg, take us home. It's all yours.
Well, as y'all know, I talk a lot, but I won't do it this time because everybody criticizes me for that. Come to Marty's show. Marty's a good guy. The guys who are out there, you know who he is. You know who I am. You know how I feel about it. This is a good show to have, and we need to support these gentlemen as they grow. We need to be a part of their show, and we need to share whatever information that we have. You can be critical if you want. That's okay. Stop being personal, though. Just go and enjoy the show, have some laughs, share some information, learn something, and keep it that way, and spread the word. Manager Marty is back. The guys who come on here, you know he's back. You know what he's about. So come with that attitude. You want to bring your intelligence here, bring it here. You want to go and fight somewhere else, go over there. You just want to go and listen, go over there as well. But just be supportive of Manager Marty. Be supportive of all the channels that's out there, because these are the kind of things that we want to see our people do. So be that kind of person, and I'll see you next time I show up. Good night.
Representing the business of boxing, ladies and gentlemen, let's hear it for Manager Marty.
Thank you. You're far too kind. Thank you very much.